Hey everybody, Mitch Tram here. Today we're going to go through seasoning up our St. Louis cut spare ribs. So the first thing I like to do is put mustard on them, and I put the mustard on there in order to allow the seasoning to stick. It also does a great job of imparting just a subtle flavor. So I always recommend using mustard to coat any type of pork product, really, if I'm doing a pork butt, if I'm doing ribs. In any case, let's go ahead and get started. I've already squirted some mustard on here, so I'm going to go ahead and rub this in on this side, just like that. And after you get the rub on, then you're going to want to season. Or actually, after you get the mustard on, then you're going to want to season. And seasoning is totally up to you. There's tons of great seasonings out there. You can use whatever you like. I'm going to use a couple different ones on this set, and then I'm going to do a different seasoning on the other one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do what they call layering. A lot of times people like to layer the seasoning on these ribs. So we're going to do this layer first. So I'm going to do a light layer of this. And this is just, one of those off-the-shelf rubs. You can use whatever you want. There's tons of them out there. So I'm going to do that one first, and then I'm going to do this other one, which is kind of a red color, and I'm going to put a little bit thicker layer of that on there. So that's on the underside of the ribs. Now I'm going to flip the ribs over, and we're going to do the same thing on the top side of the ribs. So we're going to put our mustard on here. Rub that in real good. And then we're going to do a light layer of this one right here. So we're doing 2 layers of seasoning on these ribs. And then a little bit heavier layer of the second one. And then I'm going to stick these ribs over here, and I'm going to pull out a second set, and we're going to do these a little bit differently. We're still going to use the yellow mustard, so I'm going to go ahead and get a good layer of that on here. There's our yellow mustard slathered on there. And this time I'm going to layer 2 things on these ribs. And these, we're going to use this here, which is Famous Dave's Rib Rub. And like I said, there's tons of these off-the-shelf rib seasonings, so whatever you like. I like this one pretty well. So I'm going to put a pretty good layer of this on here. And this on the back side. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a good layer of coarse ground black pepper on these ribs. Now I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So here's our mustard. Get that all rubbed in here real good. And now, back with the Famous Dave's. A nice good coat of that on there. And then a nice coat of black pepper. And just a coarse ground black pepper. All right, so we're seasoned up. Now, there are multiple different ways to cook these ribs. And that's, you know, really up to you. You can smoke them straight, and you can do the 3-2-1 method as well. Let me just turn this up here and I'll talk a little bit more. From my perspective, I like the 3-2-1 method. The 3-2-1 method, what that means is you throw the ribs on the smoker as they are at about 250 degrees for 3 hours. You let them smoke for 3 hours. At the 3-hour mark, you pull them off. Then you wrap them in foil. When you wrap them in foil, you put some type of liquid in there to help basically braise them. And you can choose what you want to put in there. Some people put apple cider vinegar, some people put butter, some people put apple juice, some people just put some water, some people also add other things to it that are sweet, maybe honey, any number of things. But the whole key is to get it in that foil packet with some liquid, about 1/4 cup. And then you put them back on the pit for 2 hours, tightly wrapped in that aluminum foil packet. What that does is braise the ribs, it gets them tender, the bones will start to pop out. Once you notice on the ribs that the bones are popping out along the side, then those ribs are ready to come out of the foil. Typically it takes about 2 hours. Sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more. So about an hour into it, I check on them, and an hour and a half into it, I check on them and see how those bones are doing. See if they're starting to pop out of the side of the ribs. If they are, then that's when I take them out of the foil. When you take them out of the foil, you put them back on the pit for 1 hour to impart a little more smoke, to firm them up a little bit, and at this point you can also sauce them if you like sauce. Some people like the sauce, some people don't. When you cook them for that extra hour with the sauce on them, it allows that sauce to candy on them, right? So it dries up a little bit, it candies, it gives them a nice color, adds that additional flavor to them. But in any case, to sauce or not, totally up to you. As far as the way I do it both ways. Sometimes I like them just Texas style, no sauce. Sometimes I like them a little bit sweeter with some sauce. Completely up to you guys. In any case, if you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. If you have questions, ask. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And we'll see you next time. You guys take it easy.